time Caravan says this is the cold open, we can just kind of assume that it's not the cold open.
That it's like, okay, we need to wait like 30 seconds past that, and then we can cold open.
Episode 12, Driveline Research and Drinks. Not Sunday. What day is it today? Oh, Friday.
Today is Friday.
April 24th, 2020. Episode 12, Research and Drinks. I'm Alex Caravan, co-swag manager of baseball analytics, and sipping on a nice Lush IPA.
Nice. Very good. Very good.
Extremely hard to get us in focus.
I feel like we're enough episodes deep. Why don't you give like a quick what do you do at Driveline? You know, another like a 15-second what do you do besides co-swag manager of baseball analytics?
Bro, I don't have patience for anybody who's not going to listen to episodes 1 through 11 in their entirety.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty tight R&D team that does a lot of work. So my stuff's can be pretty diverse, but I do a lot of quantitative analysis and setting up models, writing scripts for tools, reports, automating that kind of stuff. Spend quite a bit of time working on our Driveline software products, which is all under Driveline Edge, and doing work on IRB studies as well. And IRB means it's approved by the International
okay,
Research
that
Board.
was a little longer than 15 seconds, but it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Institutional Review Board.
I mean,
it was just, I was gonna.
next time share your screen and throw up a ticking time clock from 15 seconds.
It was on the fly. It was a decent job.
Dude, I'm missing
seconds,
dopamine.
Though.
I'm missing dopamine right now.
I know. That was just way past 15 seconds. But it was good. It was good. I'm Anthony Brady.
Episode 12. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm Anthony Brady, another host of the Driveline Research and Drinks podcast, biomechanist at Driveline Baseball. Do a lot of stuff with the biomechanics lab.
This is what you want to do if you want to be a homie. Let me know where you want to start.
Not doing a lot of biomechanics stuff right now because we don't have anyone in gym.
Okay, I'm starting it, bro.
On other studies and stuff, helping out with research, also development of software tools, Driveline Edge related things. That's
you have 5 seconds to wrap it up.
Do. Kyle, go.
Oh, wow, that was incredible. I'm Kyle Lindley, drinking a Super Fuzz, Elysian Super Fuzz.
Let me start the timer, Lindley.
Yeah, you can go. Go ahead. I'm also a biomechanist, R&D engineer in the R&D department, obviously, and I focus mostly on gaze tracking and then some like sensor technologies. So those are my two main like priorities. Oh, also just like managing and helping coordinate studies.
Ooh,
and
those
efforts.
That's over, bro.
Nice. King of the R. All right, so we are your hosts for the Driveline Research and Drinks podcast, episode 12, and we got a brand new look. Also, I did forget to mention, I am drinking the Fremont Lush with Caravan as well.
It's 2 weeks in a row you guys are drinking the same beer.
Both times I've bought the 6-packs, just to be clear. Not that it's a big deal, but.
And both times I'll probably end up drinking more of it too.
Both times I've had a total of 2 of each. The other 4, not sure where they went.
I know where they went.
Bro, it's my birthday weekend, dog.
That's true.
I can't have a little bit of fun. I can't have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so this is episode 12. For those of you watching on YouTube, as you can see, got a brand new look. We got some overlays made by Lindley. Pretty fired up about it. Gonna see how this looks, how this goes. For those listening, this podcast is also on YouTube, so
and you're missing out.
See our faces, see some stuff. We do some screen recording content on there occasionally. But yeah, about it. Oh, one thing I do want to talk about, because we mentioned it last time on the podcast before we get into updates, is I was pretty fired up about. I was hyping up your birthday gift, right?
Oh yeah, you want me to wear it? Hold on.
Well, I just think a review of it would be worth it for the fans. I'm sure they're all on pins and needles. They want to know,
hold up. I'm
what
about
was
to slap it
Brady's
on right
birthday
now.
gift to Caravan?
I'm about to slap it on right now. Show the fans a little bit of some co-swag managers can be in good shape too.
Right. Okay. For those listening, Caravan's currently taking his shirt off. He's about to put a different shirt on, which is actually a gift that I got him for his birthday, which You think it went pretty well. All right, man, you're milking it. You're milking shirtless time.
It's even your Slack photo now. It's impressive.
Yeah.
It's an impressive gift selection.
So for those that can't see, it's a T-shirt. I'll have to post some pics on Twitter or something to check it out. But I mean, I honestly,
YouTube.
I thought it turned out way better than like it could have. As far as like
Yo,
shirt
should we try
designs
to get Jaggers on the Zoom call right now? Should I drop him a link?
go. Yeah, get the whole late night grind squad on there. Yeah. How was your birthday?
I mean, it was good. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously pretty low key.
26.
I haven't made the hair call yet on it.
Yeah.
Got to first acquire clippers or get a method because, like I said last episode, your boy ain't starting to pay for haircuts now.
Yeah. Definitely not.
You guys don't have scissors at the place?
Could do scissors or like a sharp knife, but
Yeah. That would be one way to do it.
TBD. I mean, I definitely do want to dye my hair, so I'd want to like have that in hand before I make the call on like cutting my hair.
You could just start with like the tips, you know?
Leave it long and
Do
then
some
frost the tips.
to the ends.
That would be
To the ends or
that's a look
something.
we don't see very often.
Dude, my brother had long hair, long dyed like purple and pink hair in high school.
Wow.
Whoa.
Can you imagine that, dude? I'm talking like
No.
sophomore year.
I am totally
Can you visualize that?
mind blown right now. I'm gonna need to see a picture of that later. All right. Let's get into updates. First thing on the overlay, the fancy one that we have now. Last week, in R&D week. I don't know what week we are in quarantine. Week.
I think one, dude. I think we just started working from home. It's kind of takes a little bit of time to get used to.
Yeah. First week working from home. Yeah. What happened last week? What do we got?
So on my end, I think we were going to talk about this a little bit after, but started getting into the nitty gritties of, or I should say nitty gritties, finally getting data to generate results off two of our longer running studies. And we could talk about why they've taken so long, but
I'll definitely be
both
talking
Blast,
about that. Yeah.
validating both Blast and K-Vest, two technologies we like a lot, use a lot in gym, and also are like very interested in seeing where they go in the baseball technology sphere. So been getting some early results on that. Not going to say anything on the podcast, but the offer still stands on the whole Venmo thing. For this, it's probably going to be like $6.
Yep.
Just $6 per study. You know, it's kind of a big deal. And then on top of that, it's been for a heavy development week for me, software-wise.
Right.
Getting a lot of like stuff figured out, API input, output, that kind of
Ooh,
very
APIs. I don't even know if
exciting
we've talked
tech
about
stuff, bro.
APIs.
Yeah, you heard of an API? It stands for a polar iguana.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
How is that relevant to baseball
Application
software?
program.
How are
interface.
polar iguanas relevant to baseball?
Yeah.
I mean, if you got to ask, it's already like a lost cause. So just go ahead and let's hear your updates.
Last week I just worked on Gretchen and I wrapped up processing for a mound position or another study that we're doing, looking at mound differences in kinematics and kinetics from pitching from different sides of the rubber. So if a pitcher is used to throwing on the left side of the rubber on the third base side versus the other side of the rubber, we're going to see if there's any differences in those two positions. And so
what were the numbers of like the people, like what was the setup of the study again?
So 30 pitchers threw on both sides of the rubber. So 3 pitches each.
Yeah, preferred and non-preferred. And if you threw from the middle, you were not included initially.
Yeah, so I think it's probably useful to test left versus right as well. But it'll be interesting to see if there's anything, any differences between preferred and non-preferred, like if performance or if positions get worse in your non-preferred or preferred side of the rubber.
You'd probably, as opposed to left versus right, you'd probably want to set it up as arm side versus glove side to control for handedness. That way you only have 2 groups instead of like arm side, glove side for right and left. You have like 4.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And speaking of Gretchen, also a birthday twin, had her birthday on the same day as me.
Right, yeah. Same age too?
Yeah.
Oh.
We're the same.
Do you know what time you
That's
were born?
crazy.
We were trying to figure that out. Which one's older between you and Gretchen?
I think like around 8:30 a.m.
Okay, so
What you
you're the
got?
baby. She's at like 3 a.m. or something.
3 a.m.
8:30 a.m. in Romania, or
Dog, you know it's Vancouver.
wow, the truth comes out to everyone.
Yeah,
Wow.
edit that out. Cut that out.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, this
So-
just in: Caravan isn't actually Romanian.
So the map position study, and then just more packet stuff with motus. So more
Yeah.
of the same, but the mount position or studies are the fun stuff.
Yeah, I like
that I
the.
get to work on.
I'm pretty excited about the mound position study, not from the perspective of like, I think we're going to find out a lot. I think we're not going to find out a lot, which will be valuable though, because
Yeah.
like position on the mound is a very, very common coachism in baseball.
Mhm.
You know, just
Yeah.
like something's off, command's weird, mechanics are funky. You know, the coach is like, oh yeah, just throw from the, you know, if you're on the third base side, throw from the first base.
And
Doesn't even
there's a bunch of potential benefits of changing that up too, right? Like in the game, like maybe one side of the pitching mound is just not good to throw off of, so you pitch on the other.
Yeah.
Or if you're throwing based on what pitches or like what handedness of batter you're throwing to.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Dan and I have talked about that a lot, like platooning yourself based on like release point versus batters, you know?
Yeah,
like how
yeah.
like hitters have that advantage, but like pitchers don't, but they could, you know? There's always like the argument that like it's better to just be more consistent as a pitcher, but I don't know, I'm pretty intrigued by the idea of like having completely different arsenals, slot, release point for like righty versus lefty kind of a thing.
I think Dan's running a mini investigation with MLBAM data too on that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah, it
cool.
could be
Like
pretty
like
wild.
seeing the variation and how much like the release point on the side changes for pitchers and like putting them in buckets and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty
it's like tying the study into that. If we can find that mechanics don't change, then maybe that's evidence to support the like saying we can use those types of strategies in the game.
Yeah, I also think like the other thing that'll be really interesting with that study is how the opposite is still a really interesting finding. Like no matter what, like we find nothing, it's like, oh, that's tight. But if we do find something, then it's like, oh shit. Now we can start to understand the implications of like, you know, changing someone's position on the mound could cause like larger cascading effects in mechanics that we don't understand. You know, then it's like,
Yeah, definitely.
so either way, I think it's going to be a really interesting thing, and just in general, more, you know, publication count and information and research on like pitching mechanics is always good.
We were just looking at it because Joe updated the research page. For those listening, make sure to check it out.
You'll see a link to the R&D podcast at the bottom.
At the very, very bottom.
Yeah, I think we can.
Tough.
I think we can. You know, maybe
twist the whole. Dude, honestly, the team's kind of more near the bottom. Nobody wants to read that whole long intro. I'm gonna propose we do a complete switch of the layout. Whatever's
agree.
At the bottom is at the top.
I agree.
I think we just need to make a trailer and embed it. So instead of just the links, we have like an embedded video of us doing. I mean, if you see Caravan's long hair, there's no way you're not clicking on the link.
We could include some like dark mode clips
dude, when I
too.
take off my shirt.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we could just clip that. No, but Devin was mentioning a couple of days ago how many open studies we have. We have like 8 open studies that are like we're hoping to go into a peer-reviewed journal, which is kind of crazy, but cool.
Yeah,
and this has been a perfect time to get all that data processed and analyzed.
Yeah, I was talking to the pitching floor today when I went to the pitching floor meeting to talk about some edge updates, and then also Bill wanted me to talk just about like the importance of like reading articles critically and stuff, and like studies and research. And he was asking me like, you know, what he's like, you mind telling everyone just like what open studies we have going on right now? Because like I think a lot of people on the floor might not even know. And he said that, and I was like, dude, he said that, and I was like, dude, I was like, there's a lot. And I started listing them off, and I was like, oh my God, there is a ton right now. And I just like kept going, you know, and I was like, I think I'm even missing like 4 or 5, you know?
Yeah.
Like I just like keep
Crazy.
going. I was like, yeah, there's also this one. Oh, we've got that going on. I mean, pull down study too. Like,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
you know?
That data is ready at this point because
Like-
yeah, we're just calling it.
Yeah.
Speaking of though, Lindley, I think on the I know you guys had a couple hanging requests on the Rhapsody kinematic stuff, but I think I was saving that for. Or I mean, I'm not saving that, but we can crank this stuff out. But is the Rhapsody kinematic study ready to get written out, or are you waiting
Yeah.
on anything
I
from?
think it's good to go. Those first like
Yeah.
round of results, I think we
Yeah.
should write on, and then
Yeah. And I
anything
could just-
further is just
yeah.
internal.
Yeah, just anything we think of or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that one will be.
Dude, pretty. I mean, again, I don't know if we should talk about it unless we get.
I don't see a reason. That's a good
But,
point.
dude, yeah, I was talking to Brady about this briefly, but I think that's like a pretty interesting results.
I legitimately think there's one finding in there that is just like potentially very, very groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm of the mind that I don't think we really talk about it yet because I'm also not 100% certain that I remember like it, and I definitely don't want to say something on here that's like not the case, and then be like he checked later. But there is one finding that I'm really, really stoked about, and yeah, I do think we should definitely push that into like writing and talk about it. If you guys want to talk about it now, down to get into it.
We can wait until it's more concrete. Dan was also mentioning that he was having.
We found out the answer how to create spin rate. I'm totally kidding.
He was having some of the throwing trainers kind of look into a similar investigation, but just with publicly available data. So it'd be cool if we, based on the results we get from that study that we did in the motion capture lab, like continue to do that with other sabermetric data and seeing like what other relationships and kind of validate what our results were.
To see tough though. How's using publicly available data to replicate our mocap values?
Publicly available biomechanics data, dude.
No, honestly,
pitch AI.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
I don't know what Dan's using.
No, I honestly can't really remember, but I know that because we were talking about it to potentially present at one of the Saber seminars, and he's like,
really?
yeah, I mean, because he's
wait,
like,
the Rhapsody kinematic study or whatever he's doing.
The other thing that's like similar. I can't really remember what it is, but
yeah, that I'm just like the potential of like being able to connect kinematics to like spin rate data and be able to like be like, yeah, based on this value, you're probably going to be a high low spin rate, like certain pitches will work better. Yeah. It's just like
it may have been,
and we've only done it on fastballs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
like now we have the opportunity,
which is good. Which I think is good though, because I think like fastball is the most stable kind of spin rate because your fastball like should vary the least in terms of like speed and like just overall shape. And then also,
it's where we had to start.
Everyone throws a fastball.
Yeah.
So it's not like,
but now we can start to get into other stuff, which I think is like
I think what he was looking at was, or what he was talking about was using the biomech data we have, even though it's not paired, using those biomech results for like each guy, and then looking at their data, at their reps or TrackMan data. So like even though it's not paired, making those comparisons, and if we can find that if we were to do that with fastballs and the results are corroborated with what we found in the mocap lab, then maybe we can start to extend those like investigations into other pitches and like in-game data.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I actually, even though we were just talking about it like 2 minutes ago, but I just got fired up now thinking about how many research studies we have that we can pump out during quarantine, man. It's gonna be like it's been a while since we pumped out a few.
I still wish we could get the like rocker from preprint into an actual journal. I feel like it's, I don't know. I mean, have we looked for another journal or anything on that?
No, we like after getting banged from PureJ, it was just like the natural next step, especially because we had so much other stuff going on. But it's not out of the picture because some journals still accept articles that are, even if they're pre-printed. So
nice.
And like some journals, if somebody finds a piece that they want in their journal, they could reach out. It's probably pretty unlikely, but
nice. Did you already finish
Dude.
your Lush, Caravan?
Yeah, I was about to say, dude, Lush IPAs are so
Jesus
good.
Christ. They are,
why
man. They're so drinkable.
I ripped through
better than
two of them
Kraken?
last night.
Yeah.
Remember, I was like, I'm thinking I'm just gonna pound another Lush. That shit, yeah.
Yeah. So
Better
drinkable.
than,
So drinkable.
Better than Kraken? You guys said Kraken was better than Lush last week.
Dude, they're both so drinkable. Fremont killed it with both of
yeah.
them, man. God damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's Fremont, California. South Bay, Fremont, California.
Yeah, buddy.
What Dan is kind of talking about, that's kind of similar to what you were doing last week a bit with the looking at DK stuff, right, Caravan?
Oh, like DK averages versus blast averages.
Yeah, trying to find
Even
like
though they're not paired.
people that have
Yeah.
both, right?
Yeah.
That's good. That's tight.
Wait, did I ask you? Did I ask you how many people? Did I ask you to guess how many people in the track database had both DK data and blast data? Because keep in mind, like none of them are going to be at Driveline people, right? None of them would be Driveline people,
Yeah.
which would be like the most likely facility to have paired. Like the swings aren't paired. It's just having DK data submitted to track and blast data submitted to track.
Give us an over-under.
What's up?
Over-under.
Well, Brady, you should choose the over/under, and then Lindley, you guess below or above.
Okay.
Okay, Lindley, do you know how many swings we had in the back end of track for DK?
No, I had no idea. I haven't seen any of that.
Caravan, you should tell him both for DK
okay.
and blast, just an idea. It's
Okay.
like 67K for DK.
Yeah, and like 405K for blast.
Those are insane numbers.
But 280K of those are hours. Which like we have way more blast swings on our like cloud profile.
Yeah.
But 280 of the 400 plus thousand on track are hours.
Yeah.
But none of DK ones are hours, obviously. Or maybe not super opposite, but yeah. But yeah. So guess like no limit, or like no cutoff number, but how many people had both DK swings on their profile and blast swings? Or like Brady, you're trying to set the over under, right? I didn't tell you this. I think I told Max.
Yeah, I don't think you told me. Maybe I saw you post about it. I'm just gonna put the over under at 50.
Oh wait! If you saw my post about it, I think did you already say something? Did you hear that?
I said 50. I said 50, but
50.
I also don't really remember your post. Okay, wait.
Slamming.
So I said 50, and Lindley said under. I'm gonna take the over.
Oh wow! I think you did misread my post. I know I posted it late, and I know I might have thrown in a couple typos.
I thought I was 60ish.
I think you added a order of magnitude. It's 5.
Yeah, that was. I thought you were gonna put the over under at 5, and I was like, that's tough. But I think pretty much was going on the under.
Technically, 8, but 3 of those were test accounts. Which is a good thing I looked at it, dude, because I was like. Because in track we have like classifications, so like high school, college, blah blah, and I was like, what's this like number 7? And I looked at it, I was like, oh, these are tests. Literally 3 of my 8 are test accounts.
Nice. Brady, what'd you do last week?
Just bang my head against blasting KVS validation. Just absolutely bang my head against it.
Yeah. Let's get into that.
Okay. Transitioning to blasting KVS validation work.
And we should explain why they why we're kind of like lumping them in together and stuff.
Yeah, I mean the main thing is just because we collected them at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think we mentioned it before. We got 300 paired. 150. Sorry, we definitely don't have 300.
Dude, don't say 300 and say how many we have paired right now.
Because that makes
not say how many we have right now.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna have to get into it. Okay, so we got 150. We actually have more than that.
Initial.
A lot of them are unclean because we have the ones where a person did 5 normal swings and then 5 axpat swings. So we have like 150 plus swings where a person is fully mocapped, has a blast sensor on, and is wearing the K vest.
Yeah, and by mocap we mean like just markered up in our lab.
All those are completely paired. So last week, finally worked out some kinks, or thought I had worked out some kinks in the processing pipeline to take the mocap data and process it.
Wait, real quick. Wait, Lindley, did you ever say where you're drinking? What are you drinking?
I said it in when I was like, introducing myself. Yeah, Super Fuzz Elysian.
I totally missed it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
also
like,
on this handy little overlay here.
Yeah.
You know? You can
yeah,
YouTube.
I see it. I see the overlay.
Yeah, I think I can I'll actually be able to point to it. Oh yeah, that works.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's above me.
For you, it's up there. Yeah.
It's up here.
Actually, I think this will look good. We'll have to get some feedback on
Anyways,
this.
yeah, sorry.
Go
ahead.
So working on the processing pipeline, take all of the motion capture data and process all the data and turn it into like get the metrics that Blast measures and KVest measures so that we can then compare them. So like that was a much bigger task than I initially thought, mainly because since they're both sensor-based units, they measure things a lot differently than we would probably measure them in the lab with like mocap data, right? So it's gonna be like very different, like upper arm speed and hand speed as far as the way that KVest measures them. That's gonna be slightly different than how we would probably measure it with motion capture data, because I mean we're just not like stuck on it being a sensor, you know. We can like play around with, you know, we just have more freedom with the motion capture data to like do whatever we want. I mean, KVest,
we have way more information too to work with.
Yeah, KVest just has 4 sensors, right? And the way that they're going to calculate stuff is going to be slightly different. So spent a lot of time trying to match it up. Also like positive and negative, the way that they like measure some of the signals are like slightly different. So understanding how they define things was a big part of that. Finally got all that ironed out, processed all of the takes that I could. Some of the data that was collected in the motion capture lab, not really that cleanable. This is like in earlier stages. I mean, it was, as far as I know, it was like the first 30 people we collected and hitting, maybe except for like 3 other people, right? So first time trying to like collect hitting data in the motion capture lab, and definitely the process that we went through to do that was like not the way to do it, right? We just like theorized an idea of like, okay, yeah, this will probably work, right? For collection and like the camera montage, how all that was going to be set up, where to put the markers on the bat, where to put the markers on the tee, all that stuff. We just like developed like, okay, the first version of the plan, and then we just sent it on every guy, you know, which was like so much regret, because all it would have taken was just like collecting one, testing it, and trying to like work with the pipeline and like cleaning all that stuff to be like, oh man, there's a lot of issues doing it this way. And especially just what we've learned lately with like live reconstruction and being able to like gap fill quicker and camera montage and all that. Like we're just so much better and more efficient with the biomechanics lab than when we were.
The lab in general too. I think like that was collected before even the pitching side was super dialed, because now our data is super clean, and it takes doesn't take very long to clean it all. And that wasn't quite the case, I think, around the time that this was collected.
Yeah, we weren't nearly calibrating enough, which was like a pretty big issue. Also, the way we had it set up with the hitting one was when they swung and hit the ball would sometimes like ricochet back and bump the cameras, and then we wouldn't recalibrate, which was an issue we'd never encountered on the pitching side, you know? So
only with the mobile lab.
Yeah, something that we just like found out in post that was like, so like that process was kind of crappy. But anyways, the stuff that I was able to process with the pipeline, I did. And then I got that data to Caravan late one night, asking him to check it out and see like, okay, how does this look?
And by late one night, probably like Wednesday, I think.
I think the first one might have been Tuesday, honestly. Yeah.
Really early morning Wednesday.
Yeah. I think it was Tuesday night. Or no, you might be right. Yeah. But I mean, basically found a huge error. No, it had to be Tuesday because that was when we did the code walkthrough of the pipeline. So that was the first time I processed it all. And then Tuesday you saw those errors. Then Wednesday went into it and like tried to correct some of those errors. So corrected the errors in the pipeline, reprocessed it again, gave it to Caravan, Then Caravan got me back the data again and found more errors in the data with how I was processing it. I think the first time, the main thing was it was like a righty versus lefty pipeline thing. I had just like missed something with the model. And then I also forgot to add in a way that Blast calculates hand speed. So I needed to like make another metric that I just had forgot to make. And then the third time reprocessing, when I sent you that data, that was when we found an issue with event tagging for hand speed peaks, which I don't know like how much you guys have seen KVS graphs, but a lot of times on hand speed, there's a second peak that's higher later in the swing after contact. So like KVest corrects for that and tags like a peak right before or at contact, and then it ignores the other one. I was unaware that that really happened, which totally makes sense. If you think about the lead arm, like when you swing into contact, there's probably like a little peak there, but then on the follow through, there's probably even a bigger peak, you know, especially when you include the axial rotation of the hand, because it's a magnitude. So I had to figure out a way to correct that event, which solved that yesterday, around midday ish, I think, 8 o'clock, and then reprocess all the data again, and finally got it back to you. And also throughout this process, we found a bunch of like, not a bunch, but like a couple misreads or maybe like calibration errors.
People should throw out
in the KVest and Blast data. So we had to throw out data on their end, not on our end. So, I mean, both of us, and now I think we're down to like, I mean, it's pretty bad compared to the 300, but
we're down to -5 swings.
That's what it feels like, man. I think it's 75 and 80. It's 75 for
Blast and
KVest.
KVest.
It's 75 swings for KVest and 80 swings for Blast.
Yeah, but then like 70 of them match up, so currently at 70.
So yeah, basically 70.
The joys of paired data.
Caravan's been, running a validation study with 3 technologies was just a nightmare, dude.
Well, not everyone can handle
2
it.
studies.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying 3 technology. Well, yeah, that's right. Running 2 studies and like, dude, running 3 technologies at once. Oh my God, that was just like.
It'll get the best out of anyone, man. It got the best out of Griff.
Yeah. You did a good job, man, collating all that data and like setting it all up for us later. Like that was huge. Griffin, if there's any chance that you listen to this podcast, thank you for that, because that helped so much. That was rough, man. I remember like talking a while back about like, you know, doing some way more in-depth like multiple technology, you know, studies, and I feel like as far as scope goes, Blast, KVS, and mocap is pretty simple compared to like other things that we were talking about.
Yeah.
But also just I have so much respect for that gaze tracking study, you know, just like gaze plus mocap alone. But man, dude, I mean, other stuff
they did gaze plus mocap plus high speed camera.
Yeah.
Which I guess is pretty easy addition, but
but like imagine us then like trying to loop in like force plates and other stuff. Like it gets so hairy as you go, but just blew like 20, 30 hours of thinking I had something done, it not being done, Caravan telling me just like wrong every time. Sucked, but I think we're good now. We got 70 swings. They look, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say how they look. I'm not going to look, but I'm not even going to make a facial expression. I'll let Caravan talk about what he thinks if he wants.
I mean, set an over under, Lindley.
What?
Just set it.
What would the over under even be?
That's what I'm saying. You got to choose what you want to set an over under on.
I mean, you could just set the over under at like neutral, and then Caravan would just have to say like good or bad.
Just give me. How about this? Set an over under on. It'll be completely subjective. Like, how do I think KVS and Blast match up?
Or pick out one metric.
Oh yeah,
and
pick out one metric.
Set a correlation over under.
For our listeners, you know, Just stub my toe. Okay. Choose one technology and choose one metric, and I'll get you something. And I'll try to communicate it only with my eyes.
Yeah, and like
No,
pick
I'll
a,
give
pick
you some
a
verbal.
yeah. I mean, eyes is just tough.
But
pick like
am
a
I going to set
correlation
an over
value.
under? Or are you going to give us the?
No,
like,
you set the over under the correlation.
Choose a
value.
correlation. Choose a correlation. Choose the technology. Or sorry, choose the technology. Choose the metrics, and then
Set
set
the
an over
over-under.
under, and I'll just tell you
Yes or no.
up or down.
Oh
time
yeah,
to
don't even say
contact-
yes or no. Just say time. Can't do that one
What?
Easy, dude.
Can't
What
do
are
that
we doing?
because
What are we doing?
no, we can talk about that because like the event stuff we haven't worked out how to validate because it's a lot more complicated than that.
Time to contact we probably won't really include or make a big deal of.
Yeah.
And
And
Okay,
this is
okay,
something
okay.
that we can actually talk about because like
How about
the
side bend?
Okay, yep. Go ahead.
Side,
side
bend
bend for what?
We need
side
it.
bend at heel strike or KVest.
There's two side bends.
uh,
There's pelvis and torso.
Well, yeah, which
Pelvis side bend.
So.
No, no,
Pelvis side bend,
no.
Caravan, before
torso
you-
side bend.
Caravan, before you look at it, don't even look at it yet because he's got to set the over under.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wait, but wait.
Well, yeah, you guys have looked at the data. This isn't fair. You guys
No,
have
no,
seen
no,
this.
I
Why
know.
am I
Yes,
setting
we
the
just-
over under?
Yeah, you're gonna set the over under, and then Caravan's just gonna give the thumbs up or thumbs down. This
Yeah.
is our way of giving the
I'll give
listeners
you a verbal. I'll give a verbal.
Gotcha.
a
clue for
little,
my,
like
for my-
idea
for our
of what it
listeners.
looks like without
Okay.
getting into the results.
No. Torso side bend at contact.
Okay, and
Torso
then
side bend at contact.
so now you have to set the over under, Lindley.
Over
and,
under.
and correlation,
for the
just R,
correlation.
not R squared.
Yeah,
Just
just
R.
the R.
Just R. Okay.
So
It
between-
could be like negative.
I'm gonna
for all.
set
Between
it
-1 and 1.
at 0.4.
And you want me to just say up or down?
Yeah, but let me
Yeah, like
actually
higher.
guess because I don't have them in front of me.
Yeah, I have it in front of me.
I think
That's a
torso side bend or torso bend.
Torso
side-
side bend at contact.
So my guess is thumbs up.
We
Above
hitting the
the
roof,
over.
baby.
Above the
We're
over.
raising the ceiling, dog.
Above the
Let's
over.
go.
Okay, so that one's
We
above
love
the
that,
over.
Caravan.
We'll definitely have to be able to talk more about the results. Hey, torso side bend at contact over under.
Bro,
Listen, that's an over.
that's our money stat, dog. We know what that is, dog.
Let's go.
And
That's a good one to be good too.
yeah, no, it's I mean, I'm not going to say anything. I will say though, the
Right.
event stuff is an interesting problem. That like I'm still not sure how we can do it because if you think about it, KVest exports timestamps for the events, and in the mocap lab we also export timestamps at events. But the problem is our like 0 time is different from KVest. You know, like 0 in the mocap is
Yeah.
going to be like the start of the take. 0 in KVest is I'm not sure when.
But why does that change time to contact? Because it's relative to when the swing starts.
Right. So, but the problem is you just don't know which
Like,
one it could
Contact
be
and
wrong.
downswing. Yeah.
Like
Uh.
if you're comparing, if you're doing time to contact, then it's downswing to contact, right? And like we can do that in the mocap lab too. But so you're comparing the difference between two variables and say like it doesn't correlate. We don't know if it's like, is that contact's problem, downswing
Yeah.
problem? So I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
could
that makes
still
sense.
probably do that one, but the event thing is just a little hairy
I feel that.
to me.
On the same axis of sensor validation, pitchLogic, Stanford University.
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw Bodhi
You
through
want
that
to
in
want
the,
to screen share?
in the research.
I can
base
screen
camp.
share.
Hold on,
Okay.
let me hit a quick transition for the YouTube audience. Yeah, you can go into a screen share. So
Sharon.
yeah, pretty fire. Bodhi posted this in Basecamp today. That was my first time seeing it. I hadn't seen it.
Same.
Someone on Twitter, I think who was it that tweeted this out? It was Stanford University, right?
I don't know who-
Written by Matthew Bennett. Looks like.
Yeah, Stanford University. Matthew Bennett did this. I actually reached out
He's
to
a
him.
baseball player.
Yeah, I reached out to him. We can talk about it later. But right now, Lindley's just screen sharing the article. We'll make sure to link it in the description of all this podcast. But it's titled "Validating Pitch Logic assessing the new smart baseball. So pitchLogic is just a like pitch tracking technology ball to measure like spin rate, axis, basically do like the same things that like Rapsodo TrackMan does, right? Get some pitch physics data, but it's just all
Does
in the
it
ball.
do? Yeah. I was looking at it now, just now. Like I think the screenshot of the app, but it doesn't do. Oh, it does. Okay, it does like top spin, side spin, gyro spin. It doesn't
Yeah.
do like any release point stuff, does it? Doesn't look like it.
Yes, it kind of does.
It does?
So if you look really closely, there's a backward extension and forward extension.
Oh.
And it's kind of like weird how that's done. So like I'll try to explain this too for the listeners. The way that the pitchLogic ball works is you come set with the ball. So you like come to a set standstill for like a second or two. That sets the like zero location of the ball. And then when you move, as you go into like your arm swing backward and then into the throw, it tags the furthest point backward. That's a backward extension. And then it tags the furthest point forward that the ball gets before release. And so that's your forward extension. So that's how those values work.
That's cool.
Again,
and pretty funny.
I don't know the
Pretty funny if you scroll.
value of that really, but it is an interesting way to do it.
I was gonna say if you scroll back up to the top, pretty hard for me to read that executive director Darren White without thinking of Dana White. I was thinking that'd be like.
I was just about to say that every time I see this, I think of the UFC.
That's like Dana White trying to pretend he's like a researcher. He's like a pseudonym. He's like, yeah, what's up, Dr. Darren White?
Yeah.
I thought this is pretty cool though. I mean, pitchLogic is something I hadn't heard about until ABCA this year.
And it uses IMU technology, so the same thing that or the same technology that Blast and KVS used.
Yep. So it's just like a sensor inside the ball, and that's how they measure like spin rate. Diamond Kinetics has a similar product, but yeah, at ABCA that was the first time I'd seen him. Me, Jags, and Mike went by the booth. We picked up 2 of them, and we're doing some validation of our own. At least we were before the gym closed down. We currently aren't.
Yeah.
But I mean, I saw this. I was super stoked that someone else is doing this.
Yeah.
So shout out again, Michael Bennett, right?
Matthew
Come Bennett.
on, dog.
Matthew Bennett. I reached out to him on. Yeah. So I mean, pretty simple validation. He just had paired. He had someone throw like 33 pitches in a bullpen. It was just one pitcher with the pitchLogic ball. And then he also recorded Stalker velo data and a Rapsodo 2.0 unit data. So, I mean, hey, this guy got this out and he used 3 technologies. And we're over here complaining about our 3 technologies.
One thing I noticed, but that I'd be curious if I don't know if you brought this up to him or he mentioned it or anything, but I would have been curious to see how accurately it measured the 3 components of spin too, like backspin, topspin, side spin, and gyro spin.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if that's in the dashboard interface. That might only be in the.
No, it is. It is. If you scroll up, that's why I noticed.
No, these are just the live metrics.
No, I'm saying in Rapsodo.
What do you mean?
I'm saying that those data points might only be in the CSV.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if that's actually in the interface of Rapsodo. But those are all calculated off of spin rate, axis, and gyro. So like if those are the same, or if those are,
but at least the
matter.
Yeah. Well, I guess then my only thing then is, did he do break? Did he do any break validation? Because that would be my next
velocity, total spin efficiency.
No, he didn't, because pitchLogic. That's another thing. pitchLogic measures break very differently than Rapsodo. They could put together a calculation to calculate it the same way Rapsodo does, but what they do currently is it measures the like total change in starting position and end position of the ball. So it takes like trajectory into account, kind of a thing. So their horizontal and vertical break, I don't even know if they call it that, is not going to be the same as Rapsodo for that reason. He might have tried to compare those and then realized that, probably can't with those. So, Yeah, I'm pretty sure the main ones he did were velocity, spin rate, spin direction,
Mhm.
and spin efficiency, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you started out with pitchLogic velocity versus Stalker velocity. I think it was pretty good. What was the correlation on that?
0.979.
0.979
Oh no,
with
that's Rhapsody and Stalker. I think Velo was like 0.94 something,
oh
0.936.
Yeah, so
yeah.
pitchLogic to Stalker was 0.936. Rapsodo to Stalker 0.979. So a little better there, but still that's pretty good velocity, I would think. pitchLogic
Hey,
to Stalker.
hey, and that's not too far off from torso side pin eye contact.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say
Oh
on that
my
subject.
God. Holy shit. He also did these bland Altman plots.
Mm-hmm.
Caravan, you wanna talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what we did for our motus validation study as well, and it's like a pretty good thing to kind of run after if you're like looking into doing a simple correlational analysis and then kind of want the next step. Bland Altman plot is like a pretty solid, popular, like almost industry choice when it comes to statistics and validating stuff, because the idea behind it is it shows if there's any sort of like bias to the residuals, because it measures like the means of the two variables on the x-axis and the difference between them on the y. So the idea being like if there's a bias that whenever the values get higher, there's a bigger difference. That might not show up on a correlational analysis, but that would show up on a bland Altman. That'd still be concerns, right? Like,
Right.
oh, maybe it picks up like low spin sliders, but once you throw like hard fastballs, the difference is like way higher.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has a couple bland Altman plots included in here, and they look pretty good. Because I mean, they're supposed to ideally like look kind of random, so they do, and most of the points are contained within the confidence interval mapped out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, velocity looked pretty good. Total spin, is that the next one? The next correlation you ran? Yeah, basically just pitchLogic, spin rate versus Rapsodo. You guys see the correlation here?
0.939.
0.939. Yeah, I mean,
It's pretty good.
strong
I feel like
strong
it looks like a
correlations
couple
for sure.
outliers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tough to tell if that's on the like Rapsodo or pitchLogic end. Yeah, I mean, strong correlations in general. One thing that I think is really interesting about the pitchLogic ball and potential is that it like has time series spin rate data. At least this is what they were telling us at ABCA. It measures spin rate at every. I'm not sure the sampling rate. Could be 1,000, might just be 200. But if it's 1,000, every 1,000th of a second, it's measuring spin. So a lot of potential for like. It takes the total spin metric out of hand, so at release. But there's like potential for that product to be able to like measure spin degradation over time, which could be interesting.
That's also going to be a strength of this product, whereas all these camera based systems and like other like radar based systems, they're going to like do a calculation to figure out spin basically.
Yeah.
Whereas the ball is actually measuring it, like
directly measuring it.
Yeah. The thing that the sensor is measuring is the spin rate. So they don't have to like calculate it or make really any assumptions for that to be an accurate variable, which makes sense that it's so good at or so comparable to Rapsodo in that metric.
Yeah, and I mean one of the strongest things, like it's $250, which is pretty sweet. It's like very very affordable. So
hey, that's more expensive than Garmin bat sensors.
So spin rate. So spin rate looked good. Spin efficiency and direction, I think, also had strong correlations. And one thing that I think he did do well here is the person threw a bullpen with various pitches.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like all fastballs. I know it was only one pitcher and 30 pitches, which I mean, you would have liked to have seen like a variety of throwers throwing, but at least using different types of pitches. So the spin efficiency ranges from like 20s into the hundreds. So you're getting a look at like how accurate it is across that.
It does look like the correlation looks really strong. It does look like pitchLogic does measure the lower or the less efficient, the really low efficiency pitches a little bit higher because it looks like stuff that or maybe it's just like a couple really gyroscopic sliders that Rapsodo looks like it measures around 25, and then pitchLogic is around like 40.
Yeah.
If you guys see like the axes start at a different spot.
Yeah, but I think that's actually a good testament to the calculation of efficiency. I don't think that's a product of that because on the higher end for efficiency, a 16-degree variance in efficient or a 16% variance in efficiency could be I'm sorry. Okay. A 1% variance in efficiency
10
could
degrees
be
gyro.
a 16-degree variance in gyro because it's at the upper end of that cosine calculation, whereas like lower efficiency pitches are going to have a much smaller gyro degree change. So that variance is going to be like inflated down there for efficiency, right? The one thing I will say with that is like because of that, I would have liked to have seen a gyro degree comparison, right?
Yeah.
To like protect yourself from that.
Yeah.
That kind of like variance inflation at the lower end. But even then, even with that, still a strong correlation.
Yeah.
Right, for spin efficiency.
Yep.
And yeah, that would make sense. I mean, it even shows it there on that
Bland-Altman.
on the Bland-Altman plot. And then the last one was spin direction, which this was actually one that I reached out to him about. Again, a strong correlation across pitches, 0.936. But there's that one data point in the bottom right where it's like, completely off. So I think this correlation could actually be even better. And it looks like there's just a slight difference in the way that pitchLogic at least like displays spin direction versus how Rapsodo does. Like on that plot, it looks like there's a good correlation here, and then there's a data point that on Rapsodo looks like it's reading
bottom
as
right
like
corner.
Yeah, it looks like it's reading as like 0.005, and on the pitchLogic, it looks like it's reading as 12.05. Those are the same axes, right? 0.05 and 12.05. That's the same thing on a clock face, but because of that, like, clock math and the way it's displayed, it looks like a huge outlier. But really, if you slid that all the way up to the top of the graph where it should be, around like 12.05 on Rapsodo, the correlation is just going to get stronger.
Yeah.
So,
and in this case, if you want to stay on it for a second, I was gonna say in this case, if he had done degrees, he would not have run the same problem because degrees go from 0 to 360 around like 6 o'clock, but there's no pitches around 6 o'clock. So if it had been done in degrees, I think it would have been, like you said, an even stronger correlation.
Yeah. Yeah, you could just, but. Yeah.
Oh man, that's right on point then. That is right on point because the blue line would have again shifted up a little bit more, right? Because this one in the bottom right's dragging it.
Yep.
So it aligned it even more if you can look at the axes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that correlation is going to get really tight when he moves. When he moves that up. So I reached out to him.
It might even better than it already is. Like 0.936 is
It's about to be a fucking 0.98.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so
conclusions.
Be cool when he updates that.
It's a cheap piece of tech that can obviously reliably or like seemingly accurately measure this stuff. So that's cool.
And also, if you go back down to the conclusion, super fire, and also grateful that he included his Twitter handle because that's how I was able to reach out to him today. I just tweeted
in
LinkedIn.
Him. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not up on. I think I have a LinkedIn, but I have not updated that. But yeah, reached out to him on Twitter, got back to me right away. Said he's already scoping the.
That's sweet.
That is tight. That's kind of like the opposite of our last couple segments, like stats or things gone wrong on Twitter, right? This is actually like really fire research and stuff being done. So solid switch up there.
When we get into your study,
dude, take a sip of water. Keep going, dog. I feel like you've been this is gonna be the most talking heavy podcast on your end, I think.
I'm feeling great. Keep
it going, bro. Take a
deep
breath.
We need to do these more often on Friday nights, man.
Do you want to do
Friday night's my time.
Do you want to do the transition first before I share the screen?
I already threw the transition up there, so hold on before you share the screen. last subject content piece of the night. It's my week for research article review. So yeah, Lindley, you can throw it up there. The article. So I was asking Lindley before the podcast. I don't think this isn't actually in a journal anywhere. I believe it's just like, is it just like a white paper from Motus?
Yeah.
Right. So it's called the.
And for those
Sorry,
for
go
those
ahead.
unfamiliar, white paper is kind of like, at least as far as I understand, a white paper is like a general term for something that explains or validate or shows like some evidence of like validation or accuracy, or like companies will commonly put out white papers for a new technology or a new piece of or a new product or something to like show that it works or show the theory behind like what it's doing. So
Yeah. So this is it's called the relationship between throwing injury and acute chronic valgus workload ratio in high school baseball players. This is basically the paper that, at least to my knowledge, is referenced the most in terms of like AC ratio, motus, workload, injury risk. Primarily. I think I actually went and tracked down this paper from seeing kind of like the validation of why they chose 1.3 as the AC ratio for like that threshold of like being above that is an increase for injury risk. And I think the claim, and even in this study, it says, like athletes who had an acute to chronic ratio above 1.3 were 26 times more likely for injury, right? I think that's the main kind of like finding that's thrown out there. Have we talked about acute to chronic workload ratio? We did a bit, right?
I don't think so on the podcast.
I think only when we were talking about like the potential injuries. No, I actually I don't think we have.
Yeah.
Maybe you mentioned something about it as a limitation to that one
Yeah.
study.
Lindley, you should break down AC ratios.
Okay. So
Also,
stands.
before you go though, is there is Devin's blog on AC ratios? Oh,
No, he keeps getting pushed back.
Okay,
he's,
well-
he's,
Oh,
he's
really?
waiting in line to get. Yeah.
I
yeah.
thought
Okay.
I saw a blog out, or was it on
Yeah.
AC ratio? Was this on Motus? I thought I could have sworn I saw a blog out on
There was
Motus.
a Modus one that I wrote that's just like defining the metrics, but
Are you sure, dude? I think his blog is published. I think I
okay.
saw.
When it
I
was
think I
in the
saw it
last
on.
couple days. Yeah,
Dude,
There may or may not be a blog out. Who knows at this
Yeah.
point? But if it isn't out, it will be out soon on like explaining AC ratios and Motus and
Yeah.
all that. But
He has a really good grasp on it too. I think he like
Yeah,
does
dude,
a really good job at all that stuff.
for
I
now,
think it just came out. It's called using Motus to define throwing workload.
Was it for the starting pitcher one?
Was it what?
All right, it might just be a different introductory walk. So yeah, that is probably going to be a really good piece to kind of like get introduced to it. But
Yeah.
just really quickly, so AC ratio, A stands for acute, C stands for chronic. So acute is like the short term workload, and workload is defined by basically it uses the stress metric from the motus sensors, and acute basically takes into account the last 7 days of your workload, which is an accumulation of that stress and how many throws or stress per like overall the throws basically.
Yep.
And then chronic is over the last 28 days, and then the ratio of that is acute, so the last 7 days over the last 28 days. So the idea is that like you don't want to be throwing like a bunch more in the last 7 days than you've been like accustomed to in the last like month or so.
Yep.
Like basically explaining throwing fitness. But
Yep. So you take the average of your last 28 days, and then you don't want the average of your last 7 days to be 1.3 times harder than the average of your last 28 days, right? Basically, you don't want the average workout of your last week to be greater than 1.3 times harder than the average of your last month. So you want to like slowly continue to build up week by week so that last month long average continues to grow, not at a rate greater than like that 1.3 metric, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, and this is actually the paper that 1.3 metric, how that came about, right? Because what they found in here, I guess before I got ahead of myself, so what they did is there were 18 baseball players, I believe they were varsity level high school people. This looks like 17 years old. So yeah, 18 baseball players, probably just like a varsity level baseball team that threw for all of preseason and all of the season with a motus sensor on. So every throw was tracked with motus. And actually, interestingly, I didn't know this until I read it. They had non-pitchers in there. There were a bunch of like
really?
position players. I think in the methods,
Yeah.
it says, there were 4 non-pitchers. So that's pretty interesting. So going beyond, pitcher only stuff. So they all threw with the motus on, and those AC ratios are just calculated in motus throughout. And then they also tracked injuries. I believe they did that in post. So yeah, at the end of the season, all throwing related injuries were reported, and the associated injury date was noted to kind of like then take that injury date and line it up with where the AC ratio was at. And this actually kind of brings up, I guess, like my first critique, or something that I just like want to know with this study, is the definition of injury. It wasn't like explicitly stated here, so I don't know what constituted an injury. I don't know, Lindley, if you have any idea or knowledge of it. I would have liked to have seen them just like say, an injury incidence was defined as missing 1 day of throwing, 2 days of throwing. Like, I'm not really sure exactly what it is. Maybe that information's out there somewhere, but I didn't see it anywhere in the paper. And also another thing with that is, like, I think we touched about this in the last paper that I talked about, but doing research like this and treating all injuries as just a 1 or a 0, I think is it's kind of tough, right?
Yeah. And again, kind of even here, I don't think they had a control group, right?
No, I mean there wouldn't really be a control group.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would look.
Or not a control group, but I guess some estimate of the usual like incidence of injuries for high school players,
right?
Like as a baseline comparison,
right? Yeah, I mean, I think this is the attempt at the baseline.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that was my main thing. Like, I don't know what an injury is in this instance, and I also like they're all treated the same. But actually, Lindley, could you scroll up? This is actually a question for Caravan that you might know. A binary logistic regression. You know what that is?
Is that is by?
It's just predicting if it's like 1 or 0. It's just predicting like basically. I think we're just say logistic. I think I skimmed over this paper, but it would just be regressing in a binary classification. So they're like trying to predict like if they got injured or not.
Okay. So that makes sense with the plot. It's basically like injury risk of 0 versus where do you cross that threshold into the injury risk. And
this is also like their ACR wasn't treated as continuous either, was it? I think it was also binary. It's over and under.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So with that, they basically found that after all of the shows, and I think there was a ton. Do you see what the number was? I mean, they
17K throws.
Yeah, 17,000 throws, taking AC ratios every day, and then instances of injury. They found that if you scroll back down, Lindley, the like cutoff threshold.
Yo, scroll back up, Lindley.
Yeah.
The cutoff threshold for the results was that having an AC ratio under 1.3 was a 0.084% injury probability. An AC ratio above 1.3 was a 2.19% injury probability. Okay, so that's where they get that 26 times number that's like referenced a lot. Like, you're 26 times more likely to get injured if you have an AC ratio above 1.3. Now, again, like, I mean, we acquired Motus, and we currently sell Motus, and we are like using the workload and all this stuff. But I'm of the opinion that I think that's a pretty misleading statement, saying like you're 26 times more likely to, you know, be a risk for injury above an AC ratio of 1.3, because I mean, the lower that like lower bound gets, the more that, you know, 26x number just keeps getting like magnified, right? At least like that's like my problem with it. Like when you hear you're 26 times more likely, that's like a scary thing. But then if you look at the numbers and you see that it goes from like 0.08% to 2%, at least in my mind, that's like less.
I think that's a risk ratio for logistic regression, which is going to be like it's going to have a pretty decent like difference in magnitude usually when you have a like smaller sample like this and have like actual injuries be present.
Okay.
Because even if like a couple injuries didn't happen, the numbers could be wildly different. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have done much work with that. I'm not actually like I haven't done much work myself, but it's called like you calculate a risk ratio, like using the odds ratio from like comparing the coefficients in your logistic regression models.
Okay.
Which again is like not I don't know. I mean, it's a like commonly used statistical method when looking at binary stuff like that, but it also falls into the trap of binary stuff, which means like a couple, you know, you have a data
injury or no
size
injury
of like a couple people, and then since it's just binary, like having a one weighs the coefficient so heavily, you know.
Right.
Also, to me, I don't know if like it's necessarily misleading to me. It's just that it's not getting like I guess it could be misleading. It's just like lacking the bigger picture where like all the other things that could have like gone into it.
Yeah. I mean, and this is
Which I
actually
just
something that I talked to Dean was asking me about, like, you know, AC ratio and that value and stuff. And like you can be like, I mean, we can be critical of this, but we don't really have anything else to base it on. It's better than nothing kind of a thing, and it's all that's out there. So like, yeah, I mean, that's where that 1.3 number comes from. I don't know if that is the number. It can probably be improved. I have no idea if it's like up or down kind of a thing. We just need to like collect more data and test it. But as far as like what's out there and what we can base it off, this is I mean, it's the best we can do.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
kind of
I
like
hadn't
finding
noticed
that
before.
threshold. Yeah.
I hadn't read this before, so I'm not quite sure yet exactly what my full thoughts on it are. Definitely, biggest thing, like you kind of said, Brady, is that like a little bit more detail on the injuries. And yeah, just like
that's maybe something that we could do with, like, you know, I mean, with Motus and us being able to now like collect and track more data on that. Maybe create like a
I'm gonna
gradient.
stop screen sharing.
Yeah,
wait, before you stop screen sharing, lift your mouse just a little bit higher, dude. Why is your mouse so big, dog? Do you like it like that?
Yeah, I need it. My it's like hard for me to see. I
Lindley,
made it black
can
too
never
because
find his mouse pointer.
Way, dude.
I made it black because the white one I couldn't, like, if I was on a white background, I can't ever find my cursor.
Dude, I thought you were trolling us.
No. Yeah, I think at the very least, like we don't have anything better, but it's also just allows us to be mindful, or allows a player or a coach to be mindful of their workload.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably something that's pretty valuable, and it is going to hopefully lead to you making smarter training decisions.
Yeah, I mean, just because it can be like better doesn't mean that the results that they found weren't meaningful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, 100%. That's a lot less arbitrary than I thought, honestly.
Yeah.
Or like not less arbitrary, but like a lot less rooted in some sort of white paper study.
Yeah. Just like throwing out that 1.3 number. No, there was actually like, you know, a lot of work that went into it. And I think like that would be kind of a pretty fire low hanging fruit change that we could make to studying that and looking into it, is like using some sort of like continuum for injuries and like severity kind of a thing. A better definition there. So instead of just like a 1 or a 0 injury occurred here kind of a thing.
I probably can't be part of the study though, because I already have nerve entanglement.
Yeah, you have nerve entanglement at 55.
It's probably something that would be like in a little while, if we start implementing it with all the athletes on the floor, that'd be something that we can kind of like or at least like replicate this type of study.
Yeah, I definitely want to. If we were going to replicate, I definitely want to have even if it's like at some point subjective, I'd want to have a working definition of the injury before we start the study.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most definitely. I wonder if our athlete population though is just like, I don't know. I get worried with like our athlete population being like not really the general
Normal
population, you know?
They're just
So
like
it's
more
like,
trained.
yeah, I mean, they do a lot of overload, underload, implement training. Maybe they're like thresholds and stuff already there. They have experience in it, all that stuff. Like, I don't know. Like maybe our athletes can handle like AC ratios of like 2.4, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I feel like it's kind of tough. Like,
It's also something Devin and I have talked about, how maybe early on, like when your chronic workload is low, say you just took a month or 2 off throwing,
yeah.
like maybe that AC ratio can be a little bit higher early on
Oh, yeah.
before your chronic workload is high.
Yeah.
Meaning you can still handle a decent amount of acute workload without getting injured. But because the chronic workload's not going to go to infinity, you can't just
Right.
like, no matter how much you train, you're not going to be able to throw 300 pitches, or I would assume.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was telling you when I was like onboarding back into throwing and I was using the sleeve to like test it out. It was like each day I put the sleeve on and it was like, you should not throw that much today, you know? And I was like, I'm going to be fine. Like my AC ratio was just like off the charts when I was onboarding, you know? And it was just like the motus sleeve was just yelling at me every day, telling me like, you should have thrown only 4 high intensity throws. You threw 75. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely something
and that's
to that.
compounded with your high intensity throws probably aren't calibrated correctly.
Yeah, that too. That's another adjustment with it. But yeah, that was the study for this week. I mean, you guys got anything else on that?
No.
Nothing else, dog. I gotta fit a workout in before I fall asleep.
Make sure to hit that blog up though. It's a long one, but Devin lays it up pretty well.
The one I sent to you guys, that's the one you're talking about, right?
I think it might be. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it.
I mean, yeah, let's give D Rose a shout out if it is that one.
Shout out D Rose, putting that blog together.
Yeah, shout out D Rose.
Ratios.
Biggest thing to the Chicago
Workload.
Bulls since MJ.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Very
This is it.
Yeah, I think it came out yesterday. So
Yeah.
fire.
Yep.
Cool. We'll link it in the description if you want to check out that
Rose.
blog. Got a bunch of stuff to link. Yeah, about it. Unless you guys have anything else.
It's good.
I got nothing. Scope our merch. Coming soon. We'll drop the link and promo in the and this thing's gonna go by fast.
Yeah,
this thing's gonna go by fast. So you wanna get your pre-orders in.
Yeah.
Did we get all 50 swing profile reports?
I think so, yeah.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. We got a little more than 50, but that's okay. We let a couple people wanted to get them in, and good for them. So,
and the only reason why is because they all said they were podcast fans. So
yeah, we did a little more than 50. So yeah, this should all be turned around to everyone by the end of the weekend.
And yep, a few have a nice personal touch from myself, and by personal touch I mean I just ran them.
There you go. That's it though. That's all I got.